This is an SM Media production.
Hi folks, welcome to the latest episode of SM Media Road to Cheltenham 2024. I'm Scott McPike, pleasure as always to be your host, and I'm delighted as always to be joined by from the Scottish Daily Mail, Calum McClurkin.
Yeah, all good here. Counting down to Christmas, but for racing fans, it's Boxing Day and beyond, isn't it? I mean, there's 4 proper days of. I mean, this is when it really starts to crank up. I think Willie Mullins is probably going to show his true hand, and that kind of that really kind of shows every kind of Grade 1 prospect kind of down the line. So it's beginning to heat up massively.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. This is the first year, I think, in 10 years, with the exception of COVID, that I've been able to watch all 4 days without working. So I'm buzzing for this. Plans are in place, everything's in order, food's on the way. I'm looking forward to this year. Bit of a weird feeling this year, obviously. There's a wee bit of a change in the kind of schedule and things like that. I think it will take a bit of time to get used to how it's going to operate, entry coming in, but we'll get through everything. To say we might have the declarations coming through midway through. So again, we'll work with what we've got just now. And again, I will preview all the races. We'll recap what's been happening over the weekend, but we'll start with some of your questions. First question, what is your all-time favourite Christmas memory?
Kempton 2013, decade ago, King George, Sylvan Jaco Conti winning his first, mainly because it was probably the biggest bet I had as a 19-year-old when at that time, making my way into it, and it was Paul Nicholls' 8th King George in the last 17 years at that time. Now get 13. I just quite like the horse. He was third in the Betfair Chase, get outstayed kind of. It was kind of him and Q Card really that were fighting it out, and then from 2 out he just whooshed clear. The turbo kicked in and won well. Obviously won the following year, back to that year as well, 15-8. So yeah, it was like 72. You kind of take your pick of him, Dynasty, horses like that. Alfaroff, I think, was in there. So yeah, that was probably quite a good era at that time as well.
That was the year as well, if you remember the Christmas hurdle, my 10 of yours and the new one. It was just a duel between those two.
That sustained duel, yeah.
That was a good one.
I didn't bet that. I was just going to save him for the bit, but yeah, that was kind of one day where usually I'm a kind of spread betting with the race, but that was just all in him as a young one. So it was important to kind of get that one in the book.
Yeah, no, I think that one would be on my list as well. That kind of whole day. Maybe 2 King Georges back to back. 24. I'm going to try to get my years right. 2014 was the year of Q Card beating Vautour. That would have been the year after. That was a good one. That was went the full deck on Vautour that year, and that just so it still bugs me. Nearly 10 years on. The year after though, Thistlecrack was breathtaking in that performance. That really, like, the whole talk was what Colin Tizard thought would win this race. And I think a lot of us thought Thistlecrack was just the one that was going to kick on, and he just the way he took. Remember the jump at the back straight was just remarkable. He was one I wish would won a Gold Cup.
He was jumping outside wings of flights, wasn't he? Yeah. Those are the 2 that were after my 2 after the Sylvan Conti era. So yeah, there's been quite a few good ones down the line, and this one seems to be shaping up quite well.
It's looking good, yeah.
It's a bit better than kind of maybe previously anticipated. So yeah, it's still a race with plenty of prestige.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this year's King George. Next question: if you were Paul Townend, would you rather go to Kempton and ride Allaho on Boxing Day, or stay at home and ride Facile Vega? I think that's really interesting, actually.
Well, initially I would have thought he would stay at home because it's the start of 4 days, and I think if you're the number 1 jockey for Willie Mullins, I think you'd probably rather. I thought you'd rather want to be basing yourself there for the 4 days and maybe ride Facile Vega, and then that gets you in and you stay at Leopardstown. But I mean, Willie Mullins came over for the King George personally for Tornado Flyer when he won it, and so I mean, I think it's Paul Townend's only. It's a really big chance, he's favourite, and the preparation seems to go well. So I can see the appeal of it. be Classical Dream possibly coming over as well for the Cato Star novices, mate. So therefore, you're going to get 2 Grade 1s instead of the one on opening day. So if it was Savills Chase Day, if it was one of the other days, then I think it would have been a bit harder for him. But yeah, reflecting on it, I think there must be, and it improves confidence behind Allaho as well, going with Paul Townend on board. So yeah, as I said, the King George got much more precision thinking with that when the Irish come over and bring in a leading contender, and the top jockey and trainer will probably go over. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing for the sport. So initially I thought no, but looking back at it, I think yeah, probably can see why they're coming over.
Yeah, I can see why it makes sense as well. Let's go to the final question. What horse out with the Grade 1s are you most excited to see? This could be a bumper horse. This could be a horse maybe coming out in a maiden hurdle. I've got a few, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'll just go for one. I'm really interested to see how Gordon Elliott plots Jazzy Matty this season. As a handicapper, he won the Boodles last year. There's just so much stamina. His pedigree. He's a close relation to Delta Work, who won a Pertomp final as a really young horse. He has an entry over 2 miles, 29th at Limerick. I just wonder if they're getting runs into him over an inadequate trip, and then maybe unleashing him over a bit further, maybe a Coral Cup, something like that initially, maybe not directly into a Pertomp qualifier. I think they've got maybe potentially a few others for that. So he's one that I'm really interested to follow come springtime this year, because I think there's still good pots in him and he's got scope to really improve, because I thought he did a lot more than I thought he would do at 4. I think he's one that will get better wage.
Yeah, in terms of novice hurdlers, I'm quite Mirazur West. I think is entered in 2 maiden hurdles at Leopardstown on the Tuesday and Friday. So I'm keen to see. Hopefully, takes up one of those. There's a lot of Willie Mullins maiden hurdlers that are entered in. Ballyburn's another one. There's a few that really catch the eye. In terms of juveniles, I see that Sir Gino for Nicky Henderson has been entered in a 3-year-old hurdle at Chepstow, I think on the 28th. Really like, there's a lot of talk coming out about this horse. I think he could be one that I could keep an eye on. And I think we're all excited to see if Marine Nationale does turn up, what he's like. Maybe not in terms of backing him, just to see how forward he is over fences.
Yeah, I think in Marine Nationale there has been very encouraging noises about his schooling recently. The delay is interesting. Leopardstown, you usually get drying ground, so they've carefully waited for it. In the Pocket is not going to go to that race by the
Surprised
sounds of
they're
it.
going down that route, or the Grade
He's
1.
going Grade 1 route, which is interesting. It adds a layer of interest into that, because that looked a bit of a walkover maybe for Fassilvea. Now it'll test the theory of can in the Pocket. Really, it was given a quite quiet ride. Can it reverse the form there? So yeah, interesting to see how those kind of 1, 2, 4 from the Supreme last season really kind of stack up. Come next week or so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing in the Pocket as well. Let's move into quite a quiet recap. Starting Friday at Cheltenham, nice horse for Fergal O'Brien that obviously won the Mayor's Bumper last year at Aintree. Dysart Enos made a winning start over hurdles, won by 2.5 lengths, beat a nice horse of Harry Fry's. She's now into about 5-1 for Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Would you think? You impressed?
I was impressed. This was better. I wasn't kind of totally convinced with her beforehand coming into it, but I think she jumped quicker and slicker and better company, and her class told and pulled away quite comfortably in the end from a good yardstick. And I think she's probably the right favourite for this race at the moment. There will be others that will put their hat in the ring. She will escape a penalty when Brighter Days Ahead won't. Running graded company, so I think Fergal O'Brien's mapping her out quite well. It's this quest for him to get his first ever Cheltenham Festival winner, and this seems to be a brilliant opportunity in a race where lesser British yards have done really well in the past. Love Envoy, You Wear It Well's won this. This is not a hurdle division that's exclusive to Ireland, but you would expect that will be 3 or 4 decent Irish contenders coming down the line as well. But yeah, I think it was a good performance. I think there's more to come. It showed that she's definitely graded class, and yeah, she's on a 131 mark now. You need to be improving a good £10 yet. stone, but I think she's definitely more than capable of it. Yeah, I think she should be clear favourite.
Yeah, I think it was really good as well. I think she should be ahead of Brighter Days Ahead. Let's move into the next race in the Cheltenham card. Was won by Ginny's Destiny. Doesn't tell the whole story. Grey Dawning, to get within a length of Ginny's Destiny despite making that horrendous mistake 2 out, I think shows a lot for both of these. I thought Ginny's Destiny jumped very well as well.
Yeah, he's been proof for fences under Paul Nicholls. Big style. Cribilli took a backward step from maybe his confidence going slightly a little bit slow in the air when unseating 2 out when looking all over the winner, travelling all over Jenny's Destiny. And Grey Dawning, he just made a big mistake and caught out. Maybe Harry Skelton could have been a bit more positive on him and maybe stamped his class a little bit early in the race rather than coming kind of fast and late a little bit. I just think that he's a better horse going 3 miles on a flatter track. I don't think he's a Cheltenham horse.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Let's move into Saturday. A few horses at Cheltenham to talk about. We start with the Juvenile Hurdle and Bradan Fiesa for Jack Jones, won at 5-4, beating Balboa with 3 lengths. Getting good performance. Frank's the Burdett Road form as well. Burdett Road obviously entered in the formerly Grade 1, now Grade 2 Juvenile at Chepstow. Just Frank's that form and just makes Burdett Road look a bit more impressive.
It does. I think Harry Skelton went a bit too fast, too early, too quick, and Kurkosh, who fell quite heavily at the last and set it up from. It didn't look a strong race. The top 2 were the right 2 in the end, but one came a crop at the last, and the other kind of tracked him really well and picked up the pieces. And it does. It gives the Burdett Road form a little bit of a boost. He won't run if it goes bottomless at Chepstow, and it tends to go bottomless at Chepstow there. So they might have to take the dreaded Kempton route and go there first for the Triumph if they want to get another run in him, of course.
Yeah, I think the Triumph picture could be really, really exciting by the end of next week. Let's move into the December Gold Cup. It was quite an exciting finish. Fugitive beat El Rodotto by a short head. I thought El Rodotto was getting up, but really gutsy performance for Gavin Sheehan on Fugitive, I thought.
Yeah, they went really hard on this from the start, and Brian Frost in the front and El Rodotto, it was a superb effort. Probably one of the best losing rides I think you'll see all season. Really unlucky, and she's very good at doing that. The association with Frodon and all sorts, and that's her style of riding, and it works out really well. Fugitive, he's been unlucky. He's been second quite often, so he was kind of due one of these. And it was just a brilliant race to watch, and him getting up, and that's just going to be your classic kind of strong 2.5 mile handicap form all season. So it's certainly going to be relevant when the plate comes round. That's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move into the performance of Broadway Boy for the Twiston Davis connection. Beat 3 under through 5. I really liked this performance. I think as well, over 3 mile 2, I don't think he's going to have an issue dropping back. But one thing I want to mention as well, I think Protectorat's run a stormer off that weight.
Yeah, he was quite keen again, fresh like he was in the Betfair Chase, but he sought out better. And both of those horses are going to go to Lingfield the end of next month, and Broadway Boy won't be getting £19. It'll be level, so that's going to make life tougher. I think the part of Broadway Boy's appeal is the connections and how much they clearly adore him, and how much you kind of really aim high with him, regardless of what's going on. Down the back, his jumping was under pressure. It wasn't as fluent as it was. He's now rated 150. Sounds about right. Personally, for me, I don't see him being much of a factor in a Brown Advisory Novices Chase. Foreign Porter beat him comfortably. Melina Girl was in that race. She was travelling all over him. I mean, she looked like the winner, and she might be a kind of Grand National type project down the line. His attitude's wonderful, but I suspect when, as Foreign Porter kind of maybe showed, that there's going to be 2 or 3 probably classier sorts over the water that might put him away, particularly if he makes those mistakes towards the end of the race that he did last time.
Yeah, I think I can see that point of view. I think if he dropped back though, I think if it was a really soft ground, 3 miles, I think he would probably have a chance. Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle was won by Shanna Bobb. Won this 15-8. Didn't when Nicky Henderson Novice Hurdlers, you think a class. You don't think a class with this horse. You think that this horse could probably win over 12 miles.
He's so raw, though. I mean, I'm not sure that he's like slow, but he's well, he isn't obviously not the quickest, but he's just so raw. He doesn't know what he's doing. You know,
Yeah.
the penny's not dropped yet, and he's I was really impressed how he pulled out of the fire. You know, I mean, he destroyed the evidence. I mean, he was a solid one to rating. That he did a little wrong, and he ran to his mark, and for a horse to do so much wrong to probably run into mid 130s and win. Just depends how quickly he can improve this season. I think he's going to be a very good chaser down the line, and Stammer is obviously going to be a strong suit. But to look beat fairly often all the time, and not really learning and looking kind of clueless, and still winning a race of that nature. There could be a really lot more to come. It's whether they can get it out from time for an Albert Bartlett, because that's where he's going to go.
Has to go there.
And he's a classic old school Bartlett type of he's going to improve with every single run he has, and it's get more and more experience in him as much as possible. We'll take him up to Doncaster and thing. I was a lot more interested in him after the race than before.
I think 20s is fair.
Yes, because Albert Bartlett, it's 5 or 6. I like Croke Park, for instance. I think he's probably a good one for Elliot and things like that. If Elliot Antique came here, I think he'd be interesting. There's so many unexposed types in that race at the moment, and he's definitely one of them.
Yeah, let's move into Fairy House on Saturday. A nice horse for Gordon Elliott, won a 3-year-old maiden hurdle. Puccini. Thought this was really nice. I thought made a really good jump at the last. My immediate thought after this was, could this be his Biddle horse?
Yeah, he's definitely a Fred Winter type, isn't he? There's probably Mighty Bandit, probably his main triumph hope at the moment. Maybe a few others that can go there if they improve in the spring Grade 2 hurdle. So yes, he did seem to be a kind of a Biddle's project, because he does have some experience under him. So yeah, I always respect his kind of runners in that race.
Yeah, especially when he marks one out. Let's move into Navan on Sunday. The Enabler won for Gordon Elliott, 4 lengths for Digginstown, but in a bumper. Beat a few decent bumper horses. I think this could actually turn out to quite a good bumper race. Obviously, we didn't have Redemption Day and Jalon Duderie. They were declared non-runners. But the winner was good here, but I don't think Cheltenham is the plan with this horse.
No, it's Navan. He's staying at home. Yeah, they do think a good deal of him. Everyone's waiting for this Romeo Coolio to come out, because I mean, Gordon Elliott's about 2 or 3 decent ones, and they seem to be. Romeo Coolio still seems to be the kind of number one. It's the talk of the town. So yeah, I think he's about 12, 14s already. I've not even seen him. So yeah, be a bit mindful of that. But the market there is beginning to take shape. It would have been a stronger race if the other two, and the second didn't really fire. I think the ground kind of bottomed the Cromwell horse a little bit. So yeah, it's the winner's definitely smart though, but he's probably one for next season.
Definitely one for next season. Final horse to talk about on the recap was on Wednesday at Newbury. Harry Fry's Jiddley Park, even money winner. I thought this was brilliant. I thought just again, my first thought, 2.5 miles. I thought, right, they're earmarking him for a Bartlett, but watching this back, he's a Ballymore horse.
He's definitely a Ballymore horse. I thought, I mean, it was a very good performance. He's slick. He's very efficient, and he's very forward. And he showed a few gears there. Yeah, he could grab his form in the last 2, and you're always mindful of Irish novices, but when Harry Fry's a smart one, he could definitely pull out results come festival time. Yeah, I think he's a player. I think he's a sneaky one under the radar. I keep getting decent prices for him, but he's going to have one more run and then go Ballymore, and you know what you're going to get at this time of year when the Mullins pecking order's barely started. So yeah, he's a decent one. I'm more excited about him than probably any other British novice hurdler over that trip.
I think he's the best novice hurdler British-wise we've seen this season.
Yeah, out with Nicky Henderson. I would say, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like what he's done, he's beat a decent field as well. Like one thing you can probably throw at the two Henderson horses that we really liked was they've not really beaten much. He's beaten a couple of good ones in there. Like
He's done it in style as well, with more to come and in all sorts. So, and a trainer that can get the job done. Mark said it's not. It doesn't seem to be like a flash, but I think he's going to hold his form. I still think he's going to improve, and it needs to be tested against the Irish Brigade. But I'll be more excited than him about like Hermes Allen and things like that last
yeah,
year.
of course, yeah. No, I think that's fair enough.
Even off favourite.
Even yeah. We'll get into Hermes Allen in a minute. Let's move into talking about what is coming up over Christmas. Calum, there's a lot of good races to talk about here. We'll start at Kempton on Boxing Day, 3 Grade 1s. We'll start with the Cottle Star Novices Chase. Hermes Allen replaces Nappers Hill. This race could be excellent. You've got the French Raider, Ali Francois, is likely to go 2-1 favourite. You've got Giovinco for Lucinda Russell, 9-4. Hermes Allen, 11-4. Classical Dream, 3-1. Grangesclere West is in there at 8-1. Either one or the other, you'd imagine. I would prefer Classical Dream to go. This could be a great race.
Yeah, this is looking good as well. The French Raider's highly regarded. So much so that he's now favourite. Hermes Allen's been rerouted here because Nappers Hill hasn't made it. Giovinco lost nothing defeat against Stairway Fay, and this should be more suitable. It's quite a quick turnaround though. Classical Dream, the wonderful chasing debut, didn't he?
Yeah.
He'd be the pick if he came over for me, even though he's 9, but he is kind of lightly raced for his age, I suppose.
Would you prefer him going like Grangesclere West?
Yes, yeah. Well, he's £12 superior to him on raw ratings at the moment. Grangesclere West might want a little bit softer ground at his stage of the career. But I mean, I've got massive respect for Giovinco, Hermes Allen, and Ali Francois in this anyway. So it's probably wait and see how the market develops a little bit, and wait and see if Classical Dream does definitely turn up. If he does, I'll probably side with him.
Yeah, I think Classical Dream would probably be the pick at the moment. I think Giovinco, I said after the race with Stairway Fay, I said Giovinco is going to be more suited to this. What do we think of this French horse? Like, it's a very, very tough one to assess because we haven't seen much of him, but they clearly think he can win this.
Yeah, I'm more interested in this one than the Thelmy for Lestairs Hurdle one. At least the toy's kind of. I mean, you need to run around the toy all the time to be a really good French horse. I think that they come with health warnings because they'll tend to get these inflated ratings because of the way the system works there. And they can be a little bit boomer bust, but George is familiar with the British racing scene. The jockey James Reveley is as well. French horses have come and won this race in the past, so yeah, and the vibes are really, really confident.
Really good.
They are very positive, and hence why they're coming over. And he's only 5, and but youngsters in France have got so much experience that it doesn't really matter. Would you want softer ground? Would you want the rain to kind of come on the day a little bit for him? That might be a small question, but yeah, it's definitely one of the better renewals of this for quite some time, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. 155 at Christmas Hurdle. We are going to see the return of Constitution Hill. 1-7. Rubod's in there at 4-1. You've got Lisa First Street, Sue Royal. We're just excited to see Constitution Hill, and hopefully we see him for a start, and hopefully he's still as tip top as ever.
£26 clear of the second favourite on ratings. Interested to see how close Rubo can get. At least that's a different kind of opponent. If it's one that he should boss, this is easier than the Fighting Fifth, arguably. Certainly was easier than the original one. I think he'll vindicate Nicky Hensley's decision to dodge that race and come here relatively fresh, and it's just a fantastic opportunity to start the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a penalty kick. Let's move into the King George. As it stands, Jerry Colombe has been apparently rerouted towards the Savills. I think that could be a corker as well. Allaho 13-8 favourite. Brave Man's Game 9-4. Shishkin 11-2. The Real Whacker 8-1, Royal Pagaille 10s. Hewitt has been declared at 16s.
Yeah, I don't need to go in again. He's there. Gavin Sheehan's going to take
We did
both.
hear that Blackmore was said that it was said Blackmore was going to ride her, but it's been changed now to Gavin Sheehan. They obviously in the pocket might be the reason for that, I would imagine.
Yeah, yes, I think so. Yeah, Rachel Blackmore is riding in the pocket. I do believe. Gavin Sheehan though is an able deputy. He's a man of the moment at the moment.
Yep.
This season he's doing well. I do remember what happened when he was in St Calvados one year, where he looked like he had the race won and had a bit of rush of blood to the head. But that won't matter in this, I don't think, because he's just going to be there, handy and prominent, and jump out okay. It's a stronger race than it looked at the time. I mean, obviously Hewitt in 40s and we've got 16s now. And
they obviously think Allaho's at his best. If they're not going here unless they think Allaho is back to his best.
They obviously believe he's going to come on from his outing, and and if he is, then he's definitely the rightful favourite. Paul Nicholls' record in this race just commands automatic respect anyway, so it wouldn't be a surprise if Braveman's Game came back here and did his best and won this. The two defeats, so it certainly wasn't the plan. A to lose either of them, and B to run in both of them. You do wonder. There are plenty of good enough horses here to take him off the bridle and challenge. Then you've got Shishkin, who has had an away day at Kempton apparently, and everything's gone swimmingly after refusing to race last time. He's coming in with no run. It's just going to be hard to trust him. But anyway, at least you're kind of getting 5-11-2 rather than your usual kind of really short sub 2-1 stuff that you'd be dealing with him. So you can take a chance of him. You can make a case for the Real Whacker as a young upcomer that will like this. If
you can make a case for everything in here.
You can poke holes in everything and make a case for everything. Royal Pagaille, yeah, he shouldn't be winning this in paper, but he's the only one that's won a Grade 1 in this field this season. Hewitt, yeah, he's going to bounce back a little bit, but there are signs in his peak efforts. Make him interesting.
Would love him to win. I think that would be the pick of the year.
So with that, and even old Frodo, you know what he loves here. But he showed a little bit the last time in filling the handicap, and you can just say, well, I don't like any of these too much. 50-1, I'll just have a poke in the 11-year-old that's won it before. So I think you make a case for any of these. I think the market's correct in having a favourite in the Braveman's Game. If you can next second or third, I would be thrilled if he can place.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I think if Allaho is anywhere near his best, I think he's going to win. But again, also Paul Nicholls in this race. Paul Nicholls has had some horses that have had a terrible start, and then they've come and won this, and they've just, it's just regained their composure. So I think you could literally back anything here. I wouldn't be surprised if Shishkin wins. It would be typical. The Real Whacker, I think, is better than what he showed at Cheltenham. Hewitt, you've convinced me that Hewitt could place here, and Royal Pagaille was second in it last year and has won the Grade 1, as you say. So there's anything you could back anything in here. It's tough. I think on the day I'll decide. Let's move into the newly rerouted Aintree Formby Novices Hurdle, formerly the Tolworth. Quite an open race. We have Django Bay leading the market 3-1. Teller the Name 7-2. Far and Glory seems to be going for this. I don't know if that's the right call. Favouring Fortune, Camden Ass, Florida Dreams, Look Away. There's a lot of decent horses in here. I wouldn't say it's the best Tolworth I've ever seen, but it's very open.
Yeah, I quite like Django Bay. He is probably Nicky Henderson's third best 2-milers after Jericho de Reperie and Wilmount. They wanted to run Wilmount. If it was at Sandown, they would have run Wilmount. Owners don't want to go up Aintree for it, and Nicky Henderson's broadsided the race a little bit as well, so saying that it shouldn't be switched. It is a bit odd because with all the action kind of happening down there, you can see why you don't want to split Grade 1 operators. And that Fan Glory, this could be a good bit of placing. it is soft up here. It's going to be softer round. He looked as if he didn't need it soft when he won the Royal Bond. And he escapes any penalty for this being a Grade 1, so he would have to maybe concede weight going elsewhere. And the Irish race looks probably quite hot, and he wants to run Firefox there. So I think it's a decent bit of placing. I think he knows he's got probably better horses at home, and it's a bit of a fact-finding mission as well. I do like Django Bay the most, though. Look who he's interested in here as well. He does have some solid form in the book, but there's a lot of unexposed ones here. But I do think Django Bay will take some beating because he looked like a horse last time out that had bundles of improvement to come.
I think Favouring Fortune's probably where I'm leaning towards here. I think really nice performance last time out, beat a decent field at Wetherby. Again, I think the soft ground will be fine. I think Florida Dreams could run a big race, and I'm not sure he's going to win, but in terms of the kind of ground going in his favour, thought he was fine at Ayr, came on for the run, was a bit softer ground. I think Favouring Fortune and Florida Dreams I would maybe play here, but I think that's going to be a very, very competitive race. Let's move into Ireland for the only Grade 1 on Boxing Day. It is the final renewal of the Racing Post Novices Chase. Facile Vega 4-9, In the Pocket 9-2. You've got a lot of Willie Mullins horses in here. Ali de Tomp, Mr. Policeman, probably all likely to run. Facile Vega?
I think so. Interesting who ride him.
Yeah, probably Danny or Patrick, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's on the drift now a little bit because In the Pocket's coming in, and In the Pocket will get a quieter ride. I thought Facile Vega had a lot more to offer as well, even though they both kind of showed it in different ways a little bit. I think In the Pocket was guaranteed to improve for a fence. Facile Vega, his technique is a little bit questionable, but I do think there is a remarkable engine there, and I think everyone's kind of waiting for a real top class performance from him. It might come here. It might be kind of. I mean, there might be a kind of like El Fabiolo like statement in him. I do think the wow factor is beginning to come back. I think LIT Tomp probably goes forward, makes it quite truly run. That would suit Mr. Policeman as well, who's pretty lethargic the last day. But again, just a bit, maybe a better race and a better pace team that could actually maybe see his kind of true colours emerge here. I think Facile Vega will win, and I think we'll get a better price closer to the off.
Yeah, and I think potentially again, I just wanted to go the same way as I did the last time. Facile Vega winning comfortably and In the Pocket, look at shaping like he needs further. I think that'll be the ideal plan again. 27th, let's move into the Welsh National. Super Survivor 9-2, Nasalam and Autonomous Cloud 11-2. I will do it 7-1. You've got Complete Unknown, Iron Bridge, the big breakaway. Calum, I've been all over Super Survivor for a while. I think he's tailor-made for this type of race. I think Nasalam deserves a lot of respect, but I think Super Survivor is probably... I think Super Survivor will probably be my nap of the weekend in the big races.
Yeah, I can see the appeal of it. He's got a lovely racing weight of 10.5 at the moment, and with Monbeg Genius pulling out yesterday due to kind of having a foot abscess, he's now clear favourite for this. He's well in.
Yeah.
He's very unexposed. This looks completely down his street. Nasalam won the trial. He's unexposed at the distance. He never really shaped like a thoroughsteer in his earlier kind of part of his career, but he seems to have found something of late, and there is a good word for the Autonomous Cloud as well. There is a lot of confidence behind him and O'Brien Yards. I mean, they're the obvious three to look at the market. Big breakaway. It's his type of type of test. He did placing it last year, and he might run away. I'd just like to see the Tizard fought Yard kind of running a little bit better than they are at the moment as well. So, and he's not one to obviously completely trust. So, yeah, the three that I mentioned earlier on are definitely the ones to look at the top of the market.
Yep. Let's move into Leopardstown. We'll start with the Paddy's Rewards at Club Chase. Captain Guinness 5-4 favourite. Dino Blue 5-2. Gentleman to Me 6-1. 7-1 Appreciate It. 10-1 Fildor. You get 20-1 Dice at Dynamo San Noir. I know Dino Blue is probably the long-term one I want here, but I don't like the front two here for this.
Okay. I've
got an angle in, but I'm
I quite like Dino Blue. I mean, Captain Guinness, it's 2 mile 1 furlong, and the extra furlong might do him in. You know, that's the kind of horse he is. He does have so much speed. So I think this might test him a little bit up the hill if it gets a little bit attritional. It's a similar problem with Gentleman to me. He doesn't go well fresh. He does like it here. He does have a claims. If I think there's a bit more depth to this. I like Dino Blue. I like her with the mare's allowance. I think this is her trip. I think she's an up and comer, and I think she'll win this.
I mean, I think she's very, very good. I think this might just be too tough. I think there's a couple of good ones in here. It depends who rides. Like, obviously, Mark Walsh is going to ride one of the two JP horses for Willie. Let's say Townend rides Gentleman to Me. Appreciate It for Danny Mullins, a front runner. I think Appreciate It could take all the beating here. I think this could be a perfect storm for Appreciate It. I think that if he goes for this and has Danny Mullins on board, I think Appreciate It 7-1 is massive.
Patrick Mullins was on last day. He got the complete run of the race in the John Durkan, didn't get it done, and he didn't scream to me that he wants 2 miles. I think it's a 2.5 miler. I'd be surprised if he had the pace, and something's bound to take him on up front as well here. So he wouldn't be for me, but you know, Willie Mullins has pulled off a lot stranger things than that. The jockey arrangement is going to be important, whatever way they go. Captain Guinness, it's a great opportunity for him to get a Grade 1, but
I just think as well. You could say as well, like,
I just think there's going to be a bit more pace on here, and it might be more of a challenge. Phil Dorr might be interesting a little bit. He's got the ratings, but I mean, Dysart Dynamos here, for instance, he can't really be run tractable. So
your old favourite Sanois.
Well, it could set up quite nicely for him, but I just think that now he's kind of on a mark where these might be a bit of a spring handicap project now at 152, rather than kind of genuinely going up the ranks a little bit. So it's a type of race where you could make a case for anything, but I just think Dino Blue's a little bit more unexposed and a bit more interesting in this than most of the others.
Future champions novices hurdle. Down Memory Lane, who's been getting rave reviews from the Elliott Yard, 11-8. Daddy Longlegs, your pick for the Supreme at 4-1. You've got Firefox, that's for me. Far and Glory's in here as well. Down Memory Lane, there's a lot of real positive moves in the market, but what's your thoughts here?
I don't see it myself.
Okay.
I thought he won a kind of... I mean, it was made to look good by the ride because it was supremely confident, but I mean, some of his jumping wasn't great. The figure, the bare figure, is for this grade to go 74 favourite. His bare figure debut is abysmal for this. I don't know, there could be so much coming, and it could be so better, but you are dealing with ifs and coulds. I've seen nothing to suggest that he should be this short. I like Daddy Longlegs. I think he was a bit awkward, but he was so rangy, and I thought he would really improve massively for that. I think it's just a big performance in him, and I'm pretty happy that they've got about 72-4-1 on him. It's for me as well, would merit respect. Firefox might want 2.5 miles.
I don't know, maybe go Lawlers and Ace with him.
They could do, but he's priced in as if he might run, so I don't know. For me, it'd be Daddy Longlegs, and it's for me would be interesting as well because his form's being boosted by the likes of Caldwell Potter and things. So I think Team Mullins is a way to kind of look at this at the moment.
I think there's too big a gap between Down Memory Lane and Daddy Longlegs based on what they've done. I can see why Down Memory Lane, in terms of visually impressive. Yeah, I can see why he's favourite, but Daddy Longlegs was just as good, and you can argue again looked better in a better field. I think Down Memory Lane is. I've said I think he's a Ballymore horse. I think that'll be the plan with him. Depends what they do with the others, but Daddy Longlegs at 4-1 here's big in my opinion. So I think I'm going to side with him for this. I just think 11-8 for Down Memory Lane based on what he's done is too short. You've got the Paddy Power Chase at 3 o'clock. That's usually a competitive handicap. Anything jumping out at you here?
Panda Boy, is he still there? Yes.
His favourite, yep.
Yeah, he was unlucky in this last year, and I think running over insufficient trips left, right, and centre is a complete build up to this. Mark Brassel's got the second favourite in Desert Moorhouse. I think it'll go with Panda Boy, and he's got a lovely weight for this, and I think this has probably been the plan for a long, long time. It'd be for me. I think he's the one to beat.
Yeah, can see that angle. I don't think there's much in here that I really like at all. I think Panda Boy stands out. 28, we've got the Jack de Bromhead Christmas Hurdle, over 3 miles. Irish Point leads the market 6-4, home by the Lee 7-4. An old friend, Monkfish in at 9-2. 12-1, Body One. I think Body One could run a stormer here. I don't think he'll win, but I can see him placing.
Possibly, yeah. I like Home by the Lee. His run last time didn't look the greatest behind Zanaher and Bob Ollinger, but it was a trip too short and he was giving away weight, and he had to make his own running, which he wouldn't have liked to do, and obviously he needed it. He was massive beforehand, drifted. I think it'll be a lot more forward for this. I expect him to win this. He's done it before, and he tends to run well, and it'll be all systems go towards the stairs hurdle after this. So it's there to be mapped out for himself. Monkfish might run if the ground gets drier and drier, though he probably won't. And they're earmarking the race at Trimore for him, so they want to get him back over fences. He might not go. Irish Point's unexposed.
I just don't know if he's going to take 3 miles.
Yeah, people think that he's going to absolutely, cry out for it and improve bucket loads for it. I think 2.5 miles for him at the moment's fine. He's only 5. They've got Teahupoo for the big one anyway. They have to run him somewhere. Bob Ollinger may have run here, but I think they're trying to keep him down and trip. And Rob Core will have Irish Point up and trip a little bit. So, I think they've got the Stair and Teahupoo. They've got their mid-range horse and Irish Point, maybe even Bob Ollinger as well. So they can mix and match between those two quite effectively. They've gone with Irish Point here. It's fine. He's definitely on the upgrade. But, the race I want to back him in is that 2.5 mile at Aintree.
Yeah.
Where, unfortunately, I might bump into Constitution Hill or not by then. But, yeah, I think it would definitely give him a fright. There's rumours that Zanaher might go chasing as well. So, yeah,
I've seen his entered.
It might cut up to an extent where Buddy Wins actually becomes clear third favourite, and if you can nick an each wee price on him now, then that might be great. If you know that he's definitely going to run, you've got a Stephen Furlong's going the wrong way around again. So, yeah, home by the Lee for me. I expect him to improve and expect him to run a really good solid race.
Yeah, I think Body One and could be the one here. Move on to the Savills Chase. Gallop in the shop 6-4, fast or slow 5-2. Jerry Calum looks to be going here 5-2. I've said this could be an all-time great race. If all 3 of these go, this could be unbelievable.
Big guns standing in the King George, and big guns are standing up here.
I'm going to ask you a question, right? Let's say we know these 3 are going to go. Are they the right way around in terms of price?
Yes. Yeah, all of them are there. I think you'd have to be inclined to give Gallop and Deschamps another chance. On peak efforts, he's £10 clear, fast or slow, and 11 clear of Jerry Colombe. On recency bias and current form, it should be a lot closer. But Gallop and Deschamps coming out of Punchestown now. Punchestown, we've had 2 very career best from fast or slow. He did watch Ultima back. He can jump a bit to your right. Up and trip against Gallop and Deschamps, who likes it here. And them coming here is interesting because they obviously want another run into him maybe before the Irish Gold Cup. So I think they want to aggressively campaign him a little bit because he did look rusty. His jumping was a bit sluggish. He was a bit lethargic. He did stay on a bit towards the end, and Paul Townend didn't go hard for him after the last. This has been the plan for him. This has been the plan for Fast or Slow. It's probably kind of been the plan for Jerry Colombe. Everything was floated left, right, and centre. But initially, it was King George.
Trimore was mentioned as well.
They confirmed this in the afternoon, but in the same morning, they mooted Trimore. They wanted to meet these 2 at Cheltenham first time out, not here. And you rarely get soft ground here. Just wonder if it counted against him a little bit, the drying ground. I think the price isn't great. You might get a better, you might get over 2-1 the day, but I do think Calum Deschamps is just about the one to beat here. There are doubts about them all, and Envoy Allen's a good run well here, things like that. So I just think something will make the pace for Mullins. I appreciate it as entered here as well, and it could be him, for instance. It could go forward, maybe Capodanno. Canada Statler has to run here because he's got nowhere else to go and kind of things like that. Whether he might be the one that goes to Trevor, for instance. So it's up in the air. I think that there was enough positivity from Calum Deschamps' last run that suggests that he can improve the most for this and maybe get back to his old level. And I think that his old peak level would be enough for this, because the fact of running here is, I see it as a positive anyway. You could see it negatively and say, oh, well, they're not sure about him, they want him out quickly and they want to see him again, and before the Irish Gold Cup and the Gold Cup itself, because it was pretty inconclusive first time out, whether he's left a small mark on him or not. I don't think it has. I just think, and he might be running a bit more positively as well.
I just think it's a different horse to last year. Like, just in terms, like, not in terms of, like, after the John Durkin, you could see he was still had that kind of ability to jump 2.5, like the turners. He was magnificent before he fell, but they've made him into a different type of horse where I think this will suit him more. If that makes sense. If you'd said last year, would you back him for a Savile Chase? I would have said, I don't think he's there yet. And then you see what he does in the Irish Gold Cup. Runs like he did in the Irish Gold Cup last year to win this.
Yeah, and it was at a time where Willie Mullins' best horses tended to really need it, and he did shape like that for me. When we went back the second last, I thought there was a bit of boot that came in. He went wide, Fast or Slow went the inner, and Fast or Slow was just a bit too far forward, and he kind of bungled the last as well. He made quite a lot of fiddly mistakes as well. He wasn't fit, and he's still been only beat by about two and a bit lengths.
Yeah.
I just think I think there's a good chance he's going to be far sharper and far more fully tuned, and if he is, he's still potentially a completely different level to these. Completely. I could see him winning this and maybe not winning March. I mean, what you back for this race, you could easily back one of the other two, I think, come March. It's that kind of well tightly poised, and that's why it adds massively of intrigue to this race. I mean, it's very rare to get a very good King George and a very good Savile Chase, but I think it's in store for both of them to be great, and that's because everyone stood their ground, and that's excellent.
Yeah, love it. Let's move into Limerick on the 28th. We've got the 14 Novices Chase, usually run on Boxing Day, but they've moved it to the 28th. Gaelic Warrior 4-9 here. You get Corbett's Cross, who I'll be surprised if he goes. American Mike, Founder 50, Fact to File, Gaelic Warrior. Interesting though that Paul Townend, obviously, if Galloping the Champs goes Leopardstown, somebody else would be on Gaelic Warrior.
Yeah, Patrick Mullins was on board, wasn't he? He might go there with him. Patrick Mullins was on board on for the Ballymore. He seems to know him probably better than anyone else. But it might be Danny Mullins. So who knows? Might be something completely different. It's what the Willie Mullins yards are like. I mean, you've got to split them up. Paul Townend can't ride them all. But usually when there is a race of multiple entries, his pick's usually quite significant. Yeah, I expect him to win this. It'll be interesting if Corbett's Cross does go for this, or the 3 miler later on. I would think they would probably go the 3 mile route. So it's probably a Founder 50 or American Mike to beat, because it's normally a race that Elliott plunders quite regularly. Not this year because he wants to go right-handed. Gaelic Warrior, I'd expect him to win this quite stylishly.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's move into the 29th. A couple of grade ones. We'll start with the Neville Hotels Novices Chase over 3 miles. The market suggests Corbett's Cross is 2-1, Classical Dreams 2-1. That could change. Flooring Porter 7-2. I think this is a perfect race for Flooring Porter. I think Flooring Porter's going to win here, and I don't say that very often, by the way.
Yeah, it's just whether. I mean, it's obviously more suitable than the last day where going right-handed was crazy, but. Is he the scopiest? Will others improve past him? that might happen, and it's more likely to happen further down the season you go. Could happen here. Favori de Champ will like this test. Definitely going to go here. It's the same age as Florian Porter with different kind of career trajectories. I expect Corbett's Cross to run, and maybe that nails him to the 3 mile division if he doesn't, and if he does win this year. But you can make claims for quite a few. I mean, probably Boys Frank in the Ford Porter form, quite well. Cheltenham, I'm not quite convinced he's the scopiest over a fence. Maybe the first time out was the kind of right time to catch him, and this is a bit tougher. Fact of Files entered. Yeah, it's kind of a wait and see who turns up. From an anti-post perspective, maybe Favori de Champ because I think he's definitely going to go, and he would have a chance and punches down forward because I think he will improve for that as well.
Yep, let's move into the final race. We'll talk about the 29th is the Matheson Hurdle. Stateman 1 to 4. It looks like he's going to take this up. And Perry Pass, hearing interestingly that he's potentially going to go to the real Keel on New Year's Day at Cheltenham. You imagine this is a free hit for Stateman if Perry Pass doesn't go.
Yeah, Eccles and Rain behind.
He'll run great and finish third.
I think he might be second here. Bob Bollinger might turn up. Maybe that might be about it. Yeah, Stateman's going to win, isn't he?
You're surprised they're going down that route with the potentially win Perry Pass. That's weird. I'm not sure about that. If that was in a plan at the start of the year.
Be an odd champion hurdle prep to have 2 runs over essentially 2.5, wouldn't it? A champion hurdle prep, and after being the Ballymore. So if you're trying to make him into a champion hurdle, I would maybe have rather him try and find a race over 2 miles, but you want to split up Stateman and then Perry Pass, and they don't want to really bump into Constitution Hill, so there's not a lot of places you can go, and it's more likely that Constitution Hill will run in the international hurdle because he's missed the fight in 5th. So there isn't anything really over in Britain, and here it's kind of Stateman's going to plunder it all anyway. They might meet in the Irish champion hurdle. The calendar will kind of maybe give them enough time for that in early February. If one runs on New Year's Day, the other runs 29th, they can then meet there, and then we can really see where they're at. Stateman, we solid horse. I think he did well last time out. It was workmanlike, but he was going to come forward for it, and he might have improved as well a little bit. And Echoes and Rain, if you keep running to this kind of solid mid 150 mark, it might be more than enough than you'd expect in a regular kind of Mayor's Hurdle campaign, because it's no honeysuckle. Love Envoy was a bit below par last, even though it was an inadequate trip. So yeah, if just ridden a little bit more positively, perhaps it should be a bit more of a factor than she is, because on ratings she should be.
Let's move into our selections for the Christmas period and a wee anti-post pick. Right, Calum, we're going to have 2 each. Let's do a lucky 15 for the Christmas period. Can I start?
Yeah.
First race on Boxing Day at Kempton, I like Blow Your Wad at 13-2 for Tom Lacey. Second to Le Patron last time out, about 10 lengths behind. Always sitting at the back. Didn't really get put into the race. Kept on. I think it's a lot settled a lot better than they did over hurdles. I think at 11-2 and quite an open handicap. I think is a fair each way price. I think Blow Your Wad is my first pick for our lucky 15. Where are you going?
Paddy Power, future champions, Novice Hurdle. Daddy Longlegs, 7-2. I think he could be a serious improver through the season. He can make it all the way to the top. And if Willie Mullins isn't trusting him early doors to be his main kind of first 2 miler, I think he's got enough to beat down memory lane. Who the first time the form was tested, Brucio was third in his maiden, and he was about to fill the same spot at Ayr before coming to grief and a similarly kind of weak maiden. So I think there might be a bit more depth to Daddy Longlegs' form, and I think there's going to be more to come, and you're getting it's twice the price of the favourite, who's making the market nicely for him a little bit.
Yep. I am going to move into the 27th. I'm going to go for Super Survivor in the Welsh National for the reason we've said already. I think that's a perfect race. I think well in. think just a improver. Reminds me a lot of the winners in a few years gone by. I think Super Survivor is my nap of Christmas.
Jack de Bromhead Christmas Hurdle, Home by the Lee,
Very
into
good.
4. I think he can beat Irish Point. I think this has been the plan for some time, and I think he's aiming to try and maybe make amends in the Stairs Hurdle later in the season. So I think he can take this around about the 2-1 mark.
Yep, I think it's a fairly good lucky 15. So we'll move into our final anti-post pick before before the Christmas festival. Calum, where is your pick for Cheltenham?
Picks is in plural because it's 2 in the same race, and this is just a race that I've already got an opinion on. It's in the Stairs Hurdle. T Hoopu 7-2. And Home by the Lee at 25-1 each way. You have to look towards Christmas. So, I mean, Home by the Lee, I think he's going to run at least really well here. Second at worst. I think he'll probably win. He made a big mistake at a key point in the Stairs Hurdle last season, but he wasn't completely done with in the second last and last. I think he ran with credit. He was a steady improver coming down the line into that, and I think he's the one that's he's the one that's a little bit overpriced from last year as well. And T Hoopu's going straight there fresh, and I think he's going to take a world of beating anyway. So, he went off 2-1 last year. I think he's going to go off the same as well. I think people are desperately scratching around to try and find opposition because last year's race wasn't great. I don't think it's there. I think it's going to be the same kind of horses that are coming to the fore again. Sir Gerhard was planning to go Christmas Hurdle, didn't. He's been rerouted elsewhere. I think there's a 2.5 mile race that he's looking at. So, is Crambo and co, like some in the long walk, West Balboa maybe, but it's if buts and maybes, and they have to find a good stone to get on par with the likes of Tia Hoopu, and even Home by the Lee is a high 150s horse, and he's a stayer in the pack. The doubt is a little bit that Tia Hoopu's maybe a bit speedy and quirky, and he could get done by something stamina-wise from the back, and I think Home by the Lee is the one that could maybe capitalise. So to be those two in the field, the French horse is under the could be anything category, but it wouldn't be for me, and it's hard to get a handle on that kind of form level when they don't come over here at all. So yeah, it's those two against the field, and that's me done with the Stairs Hurdle. Hopefully till March.
Yeah. If you're going for 2, I'll go for 2. So the first one I have got is in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle. I think Tiger Bay Queen for Peter Fahey is a horse we could see potentially over the New Year period. I think she could be very, very interesting. Was second to Mercury for Rich Ritchie, but really progressed. I think it could be a really nice horse. Bought with JP McManus, Peter Fahey. I think the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, now suits like target trainers. I think he said for the get-go, this is the plan with this horse. I think I really like the idea of this. And a quick one at 16-1 for the Triumph Hurdle. I'm really intrigued to see Sergino. I think there's a lot of reports coming out about him. I think Chepstow could be ideal. 16-1 in a market that's, again, you've got Burdett Road and Mighty Bandit who'll probably go shorter if they win. I think 16-1 for a horse who's got a lot of French class, I think could be a good price.
Yeah, and Triumph, there's like Bunting coming out, isn't there?
Yeah.
Salvador Mundy, I think one of them, and Marlsborough as well of Mullins. So you've got those three. Burdett Road does set a good standard as well. Mighty Bandit. Yeah, there are kind of in Nürburgring as well. I wouldn't completely rule out him and the Cala Conti and that kind of little form line. So there are 6 or 7 there, and Mayor's Novices Hurdle only by night. The Gavin Cromwell horse is probably quite decent as well. Obviously, you've got the top 2 in the market as well, and Willie Mullins hasn't really unleashed a lot. And there's a good Rob Core one as well in there, trained by Henry de Bromhead, that might progress as well. It's probably a similar kind of mould to your selection as well. So I just like to I kind of like to see them maybe come out, maybe a few of them come out a little bit more to kind of personally get involved at this stage. But yeah, it's a time where kind of anything's kind of possible, and all these races in their own right are very, very good, and it's going to be massively important. Come towards Cheltenham, where things can then really kick off into 2024.
Yep, absolutely. We are going to wrap up the show there, Callum. Have a very Merry Christmas. Have a happy punting period. And I'll catch up with you after Christmas. Thanks very much, mate. It's my pleasure.
Sure thing, yeah. Hopefully everyone has a brilliant Christmas when it comes.
Yep, have a good Christmas when it comes, everyone. Please punt responsibly, and we'll see you all after the festive period. Thank you.